Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm going to tell you something about location at Yodel. First of all, I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm going to tell you what Yodel is, and then I'm going to describe you what kind of motivation challenges we have. Two examples. So first of all, who am I? My name is Robert Tochmann-Schäfz. I'm tech lead and a JavaScript developer at Yodel. I've done my Master's of Science in Economics and Computer Science, and I've written my Master's thesis on Reddit and brands. I did scraping data, I did sentiment analysis, I did machine learning, and that was interesting enough for the company to hire me afterwards. I started there as a business intelligence developer, and yeah, the position I'm currently in. So what do we actually do? We are an app, a mobile-owned platform, which connects everyone nearby in the most simple way. We consist basically of a feed that will show you messages and pictures in your immediate vicinity, which consists of a 10-kilometer radius around. And users can interact on the platform through posts, they can reply, and they can up and download content to help curate a good experience. And we have a gamification system, we have Karma, a concept which rewards users for activity and good content. So that's the facts. How does it actually look like? This is Yodel. And the nice thing about Yodel is, wherever you go, your feed will feel different. So here we have the feed of Berlin, just a snapshot taken from this evening, the feed in Aachen, and the feed in Riga. So let's start with Berlin. Berlin is a big city with a lot of universities. Berlin has lots of students that don't know each other, and there's a lot of content. There's content about Broadway. There's content about in-jokes, about Matrix, the disco, that tourists always get recommended. There's a lot of international people coming to the city who ask, what can we do here? Which is why this developed. There's many other university topics. And then we have a city like Aachen in comparison. Aachen is smaller. Aachen has, I think it's one big university, right? Is there a second one?
One big and the other one's...
The other one is not that relevant. Okay, Aachen is very different. Aachen has, it seems that smaller communities are actually way more connected to each other. So you have a lot more in-jokes, you have people talking about university courses, you have people posting a lot more in a community like this. And then you have something we recently experienced, Riga. Riga is a city where we never launched, where we went on a trip last week, and where we saw a few content, but it's interesting. You come to a city and you know that barely anybody is using the app, but you have those few enlightened people who communicate. And the story from Riga is that we were staying at a hotel, and we just decided to take a look around the app, and we saw somebody posting a picture from the spa in our hotel that had very hairy legs that went out. And we wrote them, and we met up with them. And it was two Swedish guys just hanging around in Riga and visiting the city. And actually we pulled a little trick on them. We didn't tell them we actually were employees of Yodel. So we just went there. Alessio was wearing his cap. And I have to add that Sweden is a very big market for us. And it didn't even occur to them that we might be connected to Yodel. It just felt so natural for them to meet other Yodelers somewhere on the planet that even wear a cap of the company. And yeah, so this is basically a description what Yodel is for us, for me. And yeah, let's go on. What the challenges are. So I brought you two examples of what we do. The first challenge is analytics, the other is location calculations. Let's get started with analytics. So, we are a location-based app. You have this 10-kilometer radius around you, and when you move, the app feels different. When you are on the west, in the western part of Berlin, you see something entirely different probably than in the eastern part of Berlin. If you're in Spandau, you may not notice what's actually happening in Berlin. If you're in Potsdam, everything is different again. And for us, we found that many tools are actually lacking precise location positions. We have the luxury of having an exact position for every post. And yeah, but we can put it in, because most of the location encoding is done through an IP address, which yields okay results for many users, but doesn't yield results at all for others, or only country data. And especially if you want to monitor your marketing efforts to see how many downloads you generated here or there or somewhere else, or if you want to get more insight into user data, like how is the retention, you can of course throw them all into one bucket if you don't have better information, but you will lose a lot of information. And this is why we very early on decided to build up our own analytics solution. We set up a warehouse, we've set up an ETL process, and yeah, we set up our own dashboards, and we're profiting from it ever since. We're a company of almost 10 people. Half the people know SQL, so they can dig into the data themselves if they want to. And I think it's not that usual that startups do this early on. But yeah, for us it was a very positive experience. The other thing we do is location calculations. So whenever you request a feed, you will get everything that is around you in a 10-kilometer radius. And when we started, we saw that every database nowadays has geolocation functions, so you can calculate stuff that is in a distance of this and that, which is all nice. And it worked. We used MongoDB, Postgres has it as well. Probably I could post 10 other brands and it will match. But most of the queries were geo-based ones, and they weren't requesting a single entry, they were requesting a list of entries. And since we've grown a lot, and the data has also increased, this has started to become somewhat of a bottleneck. We started to get more read and write blocks, and the user experience became more and more problematic. So we had to change something. And what we did basically, what we do in most cases, is we just try to see if we can soften up some constraints. We had to make trade-offs between functionality and efficiency, and we had to find out what matters to the user. So whether it actually matters if stuff is consistent right now, if it's eventually consistent, if the user sees all the votes, doesn't see all the votes, which posts he sees, which posts he doesn't see, whether it's important to see something different when he moves 10 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters. And we basically started then removing functionality for more efficiency where it didn't hurt the user or hurt the user least. And we've managed to improve. So this is just an example. What users get to see before, it was the radius, fast screen, and we've since changed it. We've implemented a bucketing scheme, so you basically have somewhere in the region in the middle, you will see everything that is around you, and if you move a little bit, you move a little bit, but you will get to see the same stuff, but it's okay. If you move a lot, then stuff will change, and that's when you want it to change. What what does that mean for us? We didn't have any more geolocations on the deep database. It was just a text index. An index like every other one that we can search for that doesn't require any geolocation functions, and which was just efficient as any other type of sorting filter. And it also added additional synergies to the domain. So basically we could use this bucketing scheme for banning people and for analytics and for many, many other stuff. So yeah, this is what we've done, and this is a sample of what we do. And yeah, a little output. We have new challenges every day. One day it's content, one day it's spamming, one day it's location. We're a small team, but an efficient team. We're doing very, very well. We like each other, we know each other well. And we have 1 million users, and we're still growing a lot, so the challenges won't stop. And yeah, I'm looking forward. And we're always searching for great people. Thank you.
Questions?
Yes.
I'm sure someone has asked you this, but why don't you use the geo functions of Elasticsearch?
Very good question. Because at the moment we have one database, and didn't deem it necessary to split it up. We're only a few people, so it would be another thing to maintain. Probably it's a thing we should look into in the long term.
So by banding, you mean you're defining regions where you are giving the user the content.
Yes.
You're predefining the region. So if you move a little bit, then your experience could be dramatically different, right? If you cross the border, bands.
Of course, but what changes is the center, and so we don't have one big rectangle way in, and if you move over the border, then you will see something totally different. But it will be a very familiar experience. It will just not move if you move 50 meters.
Okay. You're searching over the surrounding bands.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, I would have the same question roughly. Is this algorithm based on Quadtree? What do you use?
No, this is actually a concept called GeoEdge. That's a partitioning scheme that uses 32. It's also like a recursive grid that you can where you can go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, okay.
And it maps to one character. So if you go to the 5th level, then you have 5-character string.
Okay.
So we can last stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
If there was one magical external API that would help you, which would it be? What would it be, like a clean third-party service?
It's a very good question. I think at the moment, content moderation is for us a very big thing, where we would benefit and where we will benefit from third-party solutions as well, because it's somewhat connected to the core domain, but it's not that much of the core domain that we should actually build it our own, where we couldn't use other tools. Yes.
I hope this is a try to use the product, but I'm not a student, so I'm not sure if I'm in the target group. So is the secret sauce that it's pseudonymous or anonymous posting or something like that? So what's the secret of growth, or what was it in the beginning?
I can refer the question to our founder if you want.
I think it's a lot of different factors. It's kind of like the entire recipe, if you want. So I think the most important spice of that made it grow is like that people for the first time experience local content, local user-generated content, which is not only recommendations and not only dating, because those are the two use cases that we kind of like already know on a local scale. And here it's everything. And since we focus on universities, people share all kinds of stuff. Like they share emotions about exams, they share funny stories, and everything is in real time. It's really fast, and you experience a lot of activities, so every 5 minutes you see a new post, and all of them are from people around you that you're kind of like crossing pathways every day, right? So it has this like really high relevance, and since it's anonymous, it's pretty authentic content. Like people not trying to curate themselves to have like the nicest picture or like the best post. So it's really like authentic, it's really true. And since it's right around you, you identify with it and it feels really relevant because it's right around the door. Sometimes it even has a tag that says very close. So it might be someone in your house or like around you sitting in the same library. And if you then also see people next to you with this really colorful screen and you know they're reading the same stuff that you right now are reading, and if you post something they will see it, then it becomes even more relevant. And I think this is something we haven't experienced before, and this is something people get excited about, tell their friends about, and this is what makes it grow. In the end, it's a community in content.
But did you try to seed those enlighters? Because somebody had the experience there was no content in that library, and they wrote something anyways. So did you seed that? Did you recruit people in universities to write that, or if you want to share that?
We did. Yeah, we did. We had like campus ambassadors. We had people like Niklas walking around from university to university, being an active Yodeler himself, and praising the words about Yodel. And but at the same time, at the beginning, we had a different algorithm that would collect content. If you wouldn't have content around you, content from further apart, to not be in an empty room, right? We tried out a lot of things. At some point, we just got so big that we just have content everywhere. But at the beginning, a lot of people also experienced the empty room problem. But since they heard about it by word of mouth, and they heard about it in a good way, in a really exciting way, they still contributed and checked in from time to time to see if there are some other Yodelers coming up and growing around it.
That was what I wanted to add, like, it's about the life. And I experienced in the early days, like, I was going to Amsterdam, that was basically an empty feed. But the people felt so connected to the other Yodelers that they were just trying to reach out, like someone was there yodeling, like, hey, is there anybody out there? And I responded, and then we just got into a chat. Yeah, it's just people try to reach out to connect to other Yodelers because they know those are people that are most likely going to meet.
Yes. You guys know for sure Yik Yak. My question is, what is the difference between Yik Yak and you?
So the differences at the moment are not that they target the American market, we target the European market. For us, it's a form of zeitgeist that the stuff came up, and I mean you're doing something similar, right? As well. And what we are looking forward to is to distinguish ourselves by different features. So we have our own plan.
I think the story kind of like where we're coming from is similar, but then still very different because we actually launched our product first in California as well. And Yik Yak wasn't there. They were like east of the US. And there were a lot of people trying to do something similar. In the end, kind of like it all kind of like moved towards what we are now and what Yik Yak is now. Yik Yak was different at the beginning as well, because that kind of like is a thing that works. One major difference from us to Yik Yak in terms of features is that we had pictures from day one. Yik Yak added them recently, like a few months ago. But I think doesn't really matter. In the end, it matters how the community is, how the vibe is, and then next year, like when this entire kind of like market's going to develop further, because there are a lot of players out there right now trying to solve you maybe too. There's gonna be a lot of new stuff coming up, but currently all of those people kind of like got into this direction.
Question answered?
Yeah.
So, as I understand correctly, the clue is that it's anonymous. So you can post something, people don't know it, that's correct?
It's a perk, I would say. So it helps you share content that you maybe wouldn't share on Facebook otherwise. But what is the most important thing is that you have a local community. You have the sense of belonging, and you know that it's people around you.
And the second point would be, because you have already a nice class, because people may try if they like it, sooner or later they will like to get to know each other. Is there like a kind of hidden or obvious sign where you can out you as being, let's say, like some people have it in this, like a sign or a rose, like a sign that you can say, I'm part of your community.
It also strongly depends on communities. We have some which regularly do meetups. Some of us walk around in the cabs. In general, there's no feature baked into the app, but people, if they want to meet, find ways to meet.
There's no, let's say, like a community way you can wear, so you can see, oh, he's part of it. Or you don't want to. Or you don't want to pay attention.
I think in the markets, like in universities where we're active, you have such high penetration rates that basically everyone you see that has like the same age and looks like a student probably uses Yo. So you're not really like specifically, oh, this might be one, and that kind of like solves the thing by itself.
Okay. Are we good?
No questions?
Okay, thanks.